And what's happening, everyone? It's Kyle for the Magpie 24/7 podcast. And we hope you're all good. But it's the first podcast in a bit of a while. I think it's before, I think it was just after the first England game. A day after, we decided to do the player ratings for last season. So
Yeah.
it's the first one of the new season, Paul. And it's
Coil spring.
it's not ideal, is it? I mean, the last couple of days being a Newcastle fan hasn't been ideal. It's been a bit of a there's been news about the takeover and stuff, and there's been like fan protests in London, and all of which we're going to try and discuss on the day's podcast. But like, I just felt up until yesterday, with the news of yesterday, there wasn't really enough to like have a podcast about. It was like little bits here and there, and obviously we didn't really want to do an England podcast because we're not an England podcast. Although fair play to England, all in the mind of Graham Jones' mind. It can't be anywhere else.
You're right, humble pie, but let's all face it, it was the Gateshead Guardiola who oversaw that masterpiece. But yeah, England, absolutely fantastic. And it's just a shame that we've got to go from the highs, mate, of watching the England adventure through to the final of the European Championships, through to the revolving door or the shit show that is Newcastle United off the bastard field. It's just a shame that we have to start once again under Mike Ashley at such a low point and feeling so in the trenches about our football club.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well cover the latest takeover stuff first, mate. Honestly, I'm flipping sick of it, mate. I mean, for those that don't know, you probably do, though. I mean, let's be honest. The day before arbitration was due to start. The court case has been adjourned to 2022, which basically means it's another delay on the Premier League side. It hasn't been disclosed what's been said, but that text that got leaked, the email/text that got leaked from the Premier League will always stick with me. We're going to march them up like the Grand Old Duke of York, and it just feels like that again.
Yeah,
there's a lot of fans that are like optimistic about this because eventually the Premier League aren't going to be able to run anymore. But how long, man? I mean, we're at 15 months now, Paul, and like I'm so tired. We went through all that season putting up with this takeover bullshit, and now we're gonna have to go through half of next season as well.
Yeah.
All the meanwhile, we're clubs in limbo, mate. We're not doing anything. We're not going forward. We're not going backwards. We're stuck with the same Steve Bruce shit every week. Oh well, you know, and it's just
it's rinse and repeat. I'm afraid, mate. I looked today because there was a few people saying that your posts are always negative and this, that, and the other. And I said, well, I'll find you a positive. I'll get you a positive. And I sat there and I scratched my head and I walked around the garden a few times. And then I talked to the missus. And then I looked through everything and I eventually managed to find a positive. And the only positive I can find about our club at the moment is that Steve Bruce is into his final 12 months as Newcastle United manager. And I've got to take some sort of, something from that, because literally there is so little else. The ball, mate, has been kicked into the long grass. The Premier League, despite protestations at the time coming out and saying that the Grand Old Duke of York, it didn't mean that there would just be delaying and this, that, and the other, is absolute and utter horse fucking shit by Dick Master and the rest of his not so merry fucking men. But the statement, mate, was just gutting because we'd all been clinging on, I think, with our last remaining sense of hope. We were clinging on to, let's get some news. I don't think any of us expected it to go through this month or next month, but some news, some positivity.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, but I know, and the arbitration side of it has been kicked back till early 2022, and that's, again, non-specific. So early 2022, that could be January, February, March time, in which case we'll have another season of Mike Ashley's gamble. Will Newcastle United stay up? And you've got to sort of look at the bigger picture with it all, mate. I've seen both sides of the argument today with regards to people saying it's a positive sign and it's better to let the sort of civil action, the anti-competitive side of things go through first, and then use hopefully a win on that allied with any muck that's been dragged up during the process, to be able to use in the case for the arbitration next year. I can see the logic. I can see that makes sense. But as Newcastle United supporters, we've been through this for 15 months. We've been through 13, 14 years worth of Mike Ashley. To say to them at this point, at this situation, with, when Brentford are outspending us and out fighting us and out thinking us, oh, wait another 6 months. That is not what Newcastle fans wanted to hear. And I understand that Mike Ashley may have actually wanted this to have happened in this way, because he believes it's better to have some judges look at it, and hopefully we were to win this upcoming anti-competitive, this case that's going to be starting very, very shortly, rather than arbitration, which is a Premier League slightly biased panel sitting and looking over the entire thing. I understand the logic in it, but football isn't about logic, mate. It's about passion. It's about something. Yeah. And again, I put a post up on the social media today that said, people saying, forget about the takeover. Well, if I forget about the takeover, what else have I got to look at? Do we have signings? No. Have we got a new manager coming in? No. Can we discuss tactics? Well, Bruce's tactics are on the back of a fag packet, so no. Can we talk about the stadium improvements, training ground infrastructure, exciting youth players that are going to be coming through? A fantastic win against York at the weekend. We can't even discuss that, mate. So it is literally at the moment the only thing that's been keeping people's sanity through the rest of the shit that's going on at our club is this takeover and is these cases. And we've hung on every word that Nick DeMarco said. We've been up in arms when Simon Jordan's been spouting his shit and all of that.
I want to mention him. Oh, he's getting a
he will get a mention.
That little bastard.
I heard Steve Ray on with him today, and he's having a ding dong and he's trying to belittle the Newcastle supporters at every opportunity, mate. The man is a pure and utter oxygen thief. But I know you'll have plenty to say about Simon, but it's just disgusting. And Newcastle fans, easy target, or so they think so. But it just sickens me, mate, that they are going to such lengths to keep Newcastle United down because they know what is coming, and they do. At the end of the day, this cartel, this Premier League cartel, do not want the status quo in the Premier League to be disrupted. These bunch deserve what happened or what could have happened with the ESL. They are still protecting these clubs who roundly would have shafted them, no problem whatsoever. And it's just, like I say, it's gutting, and there is nothing pretty much to look forward to as a Newcastle United supporter. We are in yet another relegation battle and in yet another episode of the Mike Ashley roulette wheel. Will we be able to survive after another flirt with relegation, mate? I honestly don't know. I do not know. There's so much shit going on.
It's in the balance again. It is. It's in the balance again, mate. And I completely agree with what you've said. I mean, supporting Newcastle at the minute, I've never been so disinterested. I really haven't. With the podcasts and stuff, more than happy to come on to talk to you, mate, as I always am. But in terms of the status of being a fan right now, what is it to look forward to? There's literally nothing, because this takeover will get a delay, and then it'll get a delay again in January, and then it'll get a delay again, and they'll probably hire out because it's been delayed for so long and all this bit.
It wouldn't have happened, mate, if it was Manchester United or Arsenal or Chelsea or Spurs who were linked with Saudi money. Do not forget that for a second. Spurs in particular, I think I've got a lot to answer for them and Liverpool. If it was any of those aforementioned clubs getting investment, the deal would have been done. They can buy a Formula One team, mate. They can invest in Disney. They can invest in Facebook. They can invest, all these huge companies. Where is that woman who came out and who was kicking up a right fucking fuss about the Newcastle United takeover? Where's she when the golf's been held? Where's she when the Formula One deals have been announced? Where was she at the weekend when there was all the Saudi sponsoring all around the Silverstone track? Where's she when the WWE send their circus over to Saudi to put on a couple of shows per year? You know what I mean? It is an agenda against Newcastle fans. And Simon Jordan, again mentioning that cockwomble's name, tried to make out as if it wasn't Newcastle. It wasn't an agenda that you're saying I've got an agenda against you. The Premier League have got an agenda against you. The top six have got an agenda, or the greedy six, as they should be known. Yeah, too fucking right. We're saying that.
Yeah.
Because the evidence speaks for itself, mate. The evidence speaks for itself. It's absolutely disgusting.
We're 15 months in to this whole saga. We've had a whole season, and like it feels like we're no further forward because the Premier League are allowed to delay and delay and delay and delay, and they hide behind their no comment statuses through journalists and stuff. And I think it's actually flipping disgraceful, me. Like, this is meant to be the best league in world football. They've held it for a long time to be known as the best league, the highest standards, the best everything, the best football, the best teams, the most competitive league. You don't know who's going to win the league. Yet, this is how they run the league. Like, pure shit. 15 months, no transparency from them at all.
And the thing is, though, mate, right? You can say, oh yeah, transparency, maybe if it's not set up into the system, but time and time again, they've had an opportunity to discuss this in the opening. If you remember what Richard Masters said, sort of this time last year, we want a quick resolution on the deal. We want transparent. We want, this, that, and the other. He said all of the right things at the right time when I think it was Brian Swanson from Sky Sports was interviewing him. And he said all of these fantastic buzzwords and corporate talk and this, that, and the other. Well, you were after a speedy resolution a year ago. Where is this speedy resolution? We are no further forward than we were back then. And I still do not understand a situation where you've got a willing buyer, where you've got a willing seller, but a man who hasn't got a dog in the fight can come in and interfere with that and can put the brakes on it. If in business, if you've got a seller and a buyer, that should be as much as it comes, and it stinks of corruption. Apologies about the noise; it's boiling here. I've got doors open and all sorts, but it just is absolutely foul, and it just looks like it's money in envelopes, favors. It's protecting the establishment and it's protecting the existing, a situation. And there's no doubt, mate, that they want these teams, this big six, this greedy six, as it's referred to, they want them to do well. They do not give a flying fuck about Newcastle. But they're scared because, at the end of the day, the Burnley takeover, that went through in no time because Burnley was with the greatest of respect, I don't want that bit to be just clipped out, but Burnley, with the greatest of respect, and their new owners are no trouble to the top six. They're not going to upset the apple cart. But a Newcastle United, which is infused and energetic and has an injection of finance put into it and going places and competing for better players and pushing into tournaments and pushing up the league, that is a big threat because it is long ago Newcastle were near the top. We could have done stuff even under Bobby Robson previous, and sort of after the Keegan era, we've had the Robson era where we've been close. Even under Pardew, mate, we finished really well, albeit one
season. Yeah.
That's the season. But it goes to show you that at Newcastle, it could be made a reality with a little bit of clever investment and putting the right people in to the right positions. And they do not want that. They're delighted that Steve Bruce is the manager. They are over the moon that Mike Ashley is there and he's got his sports direct shit all over, And again, Mike Ashley gets away with it a little bit. The accounts today, that's another thing to mention, coming out, showing that Mike Ashley made just short of £6 million off the back of the sale of the land at the Gallagher end. So it's not just the Premier League, mate, fucking us over. We've got our own owner fucking us over and refusing to put any money into the club in the interim period and stuff like that. So we're getting it from every angle. It's Simon Jordan, it's the media, it's the greedy six, it's the Premier League, it's our own owner who's trying to come across as some sort of hero. And yes, we want the same thing that he wants at the moment, and that is the sale of Newcastle United. to Staveley's consortium, but we're still getting shafted over by him, mate. So we're getting it, honestly, we're getting it up more angles than what goes off at the Playboy Mansion. We are getting shafted left, right, and centre, mate.
Well, and again, just to go back to the Premier League, like they're meant to be this global powerhouse. They're meant to be this, like for them not to give a shit about Newcastle United, one of its shareholders, or the fans, and they're meant to be a league for the people. But it's clear with Project Big Picture, which they're definitely backed, the ESL, which I bet I'm willing to bet with how corrupt Masters and Hoffman are, they probably had a little backhand pocket in there somewhere too. The whole stuff with Qatar, it just doesn't add up with the Premier League, and they keep delaying and no comment, and it's an absolute disgrace. Like, as a football fan, not even as a Newcastle fan, but as a football fan, not the big six, forget them, but the other 14 teams in the Premier League, or the other 13 teams or sets of fans, they should be looking at this and be worried, because yes, it's not them, but it could be them. If CIF was interested in one of their clubs and they were getting shafted over like we are, 15 months, no transparency, no communication, no anything, they'd be frustrated too. And yeah, they might not want to see another team win the lottery, essentially, which is what Newcastle would do if they got the PIF takeover. However, this could be them. This could be one of those other teams where the hopes and dreams of these supporters are just being almost played with on a bit of string.
Yeah, and that's what football should be about, mate. It should be about hopes and dreams and aspirations. It shouldn't be about spreadsheets, anti-competition laws. It shouldn't be about arbitrations and the likes of that. Since Pissflap, Dickmaster has come into the organisation, the Premier League continues to stoop and to scrape new grounds time and time again. Before, it used to be cutting edge. It used to be at the forefront of getting all the best players. And I remember back in the day when Premier League was launched, and you were getting the best players from around the world, and there was amazing investment coming into the game, and you were just like, wow. You even looked at some of your competitors, and you were sitting there looking at them and thinking, look at who they've got. Oh, 1 second, we've just gone and signed, a Ginola or somebody. We've just upped it, and then we've just broken the world record for Alan Shearer, and it was such an exciting time. Yeah. Now it's about the haves and have-nots, and for I would say at least 10 to 12 clubs in the league, all they are concerned about, mate, is staying in the Premier League. Now, how is that exciting? How is that aspiration?
Not sport, is it? It's not a sport.
It should be a competition where any team can beat anybody, where a Blackburn can win the Premier League, where your Leicesters of the world can come from nowhere and be competitive. Even your Manchester Cities, who were down in Division 3 not so fucking long ago, can come from the abyss and come back to be a major European player, backed, may I say, by a lot more of a clear link to state ownership than what this this Saudi situation is. So it just really boils my piss, because it's not how football should be, mate. How many times on these podcasts have we been discussing the politics rather than than the players, the politics rather than points gained, again, politics rather than players we were going to sign or anything like that. Football should be about the players and all of that. There's no point discussing it. When Brentford can outdo you, mate, in the transfer market to take a player from Celtic, it says it all. We offer 7 million, they offer 12 and walk in with the deal, with the wages and everything else. We cannot and will not compete against the likes of Watford and Brentford and all of those types of club of the world. Again, with the greatest of respects, with that caveat of respect for those clubs. But we are Newcastle United, and we shouldn't be having to look at. But you are, yourself, mate. You're just looking at how can we stay up. what a pathetic situation it truly is. Sunderland did this. They flirted with relegation. They flirted with it season in, season out. And eventually, it happened. And we've got the biggest gambler in town, mate. Mike Ashley is an absolute pudding if he thinks that eventually we will not go down. We've got Steve Bruce as fucking manager. Wake up.
Well, that's the biggest gamble of all, having him in charge. But it is, mate. It's just a sorry state of affairs. I mean, there's nothing to get excited about. I mean, we got beat off flipping York yesterday. Like, there's just not much going for the supporters. And like, I've seen a couple of things I'll speak for me. I don't know what you think of this, mate, but I've seen like protest ideas from Tune for Change and stuff like that. But like, I with the greatest respect, I don't know what good it's going to do at this point, because we're kind of stuck in a time loop where start the season, it's very toxic. Nothing happens as a result of that, whether it's a protest, whether it's a walkout, whether it's a
look at boycott Arsenal.
Boycott, like, it starts bad, it ends up very toxic for a little bit. We'll win 1 or 2 games, people get upbeat again, and then it just drags out a shitty season. Then we'll finish between 12th and 17th, and that's how it's kind of been.
Or worse, mate, or worse.
Yeah, and like you say, mate, we're just flirting with relegation, and it's just like there's no real reason to support this team at the minute. Like, we're coming back from like COVID and stuff. Like the first proper home game back is West Ham. There's going to be nigh on a full attendance if the rumours are correct about a double vaccination and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it'll be like it'll be a full St James's Park, and we're miserable about it. It's the first time since the 27th of February 2020 that we're able to sit in a full ground and watch Newcastle United. And we're on the prospect of that coming back for the first time in what will be 18, 19 months. And we're miserable about it. We're dreading it. Why is that? You know what I mean?
Because like, the thing is, mate, we know, we can see the writing is on the wall. Mike Ashley, from his point of view, right, mate, he will sit there and go, barring 1 or 2 players, they have got the same squad that kept them up 12 last season. And he'll be thinking, 12th again, please, Brucey. That is what he'll be thinking. And that gives him pleasure at night. And no doubt it gives Lee Charnley as well an immense size, amount of satisfaction. I'm sure Mark will comment down below when he watches this and tells us that it does probably give Lee Charnley great satisfaction. But yeah, end of the day, we want the idea of a football club should be to progressively get better and have hopes and aspirations. And I was listening, talking about Talk Sport again. I was listening, I think it was to Henry Winter. I think he was on Talk Sport earlier on today. And I saw the clip of that. And even he was saying to be going in with questions unanswered again is absolutely disgusting.
It is.
He was saying himself, the fans deserve better. And I did a quick video last night and I entitled it that. Newcastle fans deserve better. We deserve better than the Premier League. We deserve better than Dick Master, who runs it. And on talk about this European Super League and stuff, but I would love to be in another league that wasn't the Premier League. The Premier League, again, growing up as a kid, I was really proud that we got into the Premier League. I remember going up with Keegan and everything else like that. I remember the excitement, the buzz, the taste in the air. I remember the shops being done up in black and white. I remember the crazy scenes when they came back. I remember the build-up to the first games and everything else like that. You were proud to be in the Premier League. I would get my badges on my shirt, the Premier League badges. I just whacked the fact where I've just had my second job. I just had my second COVID job there. That wasn't bright. But when you've sat there with your your Premier League badges on, your new shirt, Shearer on the back. I remember getting I'd also Aaron Hughes shirts ordered up. I remember Stefan Givar's shirt, mate. I can look back to those days with fondness and a smile, and I was proud not only of our club, and everything our club did and what it represented and stood for. But again, being part of the Premier League, it was a thing to be in. It was a thing to be proud of. It was better than the German football, the French football, the Italian football. Totally. You know what I mean? And you were proud of that. But these days, you are ashamed that since Hoffman and Masters and all of them have came into their positions, it's as corrupt and bent as when Sepp Blatter was at FIFA. You know, and there was constant things coming out about bribes and brown paper bags and votes for favors and stuff like that. And I mean, look at we've got a fucking World Cup in Qatar next year as a result and as a consequence, of how seedy football can be. It is just absolutely crazy. But the English game and the Premier League has delved to the same depths that UEFA and especially FIFA got to with return, in terms of seediness and everything else like that. And I'm just surprised how so many companies like your Coca-Colas of the world and stuff want to be associated with the Premier League when their reputation has to be called into question and it has to be in the fucking gutter.
Yeah, has to be.
They deserve to lose everything, mate.
Well, for me, I think with the way the Premier League have conducted themselves, especially in the last year and a bit, since Hoffman and Richard Masters took over and started running the gaff into the ground, I think it might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, it might not be a month from now, it might not be 10, might be a year, it might be 2, might be 10. But there will be one day, mate, that they get caught out and they will get found out for what they've done and what they have been doing to the teams in this sport and what they've been getting up to. Because it's clear as day. I don't know all the information, but you can comfortably see from what's in the public eye alone that they're a bunch of dodgy bastards at the Premier League, man, Paul.
Yeah.
Dodgy.
You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes.
Exactly. You don't need to be Sherlock Holmes. You don't need to be a rocket scientist or anything like that. You can see clear as day that these people in charge of the Premier League are just running amok, and this is why they need governed. This is why they need someone to operate and run over the Premier League to check what they're doing, because it's dodgy, mate, what they're doing.
Yeah, it's dodgy as fuck. But the highest power in the land, right, which I have no political allegiances. I think left and right both potentially suck, to be honest. But Boris Johnson, Prime Minister of the country, Oliver Dowden, whose job it is to look after this. What have they actually done about it since the EPL stuff, started? They've set up a review into football, and they're getting fans' opinions. Well, it doesn't take a genius to work out what the fans actually think. Newcastle fans were knocking outside of Downing Street to be able to get the message through. Ignored time and time and time again. And this isn't just about football, mate. It is about the investment to the city of Newcastle and the northeast region as a whole that is being denied because of favours, denied because they want to keep this cartel. They want to keep this closed shop in a closed way. It goes beyond football, mate. The city, at a time when money is scarce and families are going to food banks, could have benefited in the same way that Manchester has benefited from everything that happened around Manchester City. We are being denied that, and the people who could put pressure on to get this sorted. And last week, mate, they had a huge conference between the British and the Saudis. And they were looking at investment opportunities and this, that, and the other. And you're sitting there going, there is a massive opportunity here in the Northeast. And it's like, it's the elephant in the room. You know what I mean? You can buy a British Formula One team like that, but you cannot, after 15 months, the deal was agreed last April. You can't agree to buy a Premier League club. Well, unless it's Manchester United or unless it's somebody like that.
Oh, you can guarantee it was one of them. It would have been. They would have probably been having the third, not the first, not the second, but the third transfer window right now. Yeah, if it was one of them.
Of course, 100%. But the trouble is, mate, this greedy six, those who try to break away from this European Super League are like the sphincter sat there on the Premier League's arse, fucking doing everything that the arse fucking tells it to do. And it is absolutely infuriating because everybody in the mother, and I include politicians in that, can see what is going on and nobody does anything about it. Sky Sports News, they make an excuse of, well, we didn't report it because the North East reporters, one of them was up doing the golf and the other was washing his wife's hair or something like that. The other people, they chased, mate, the Glazers. Bearing in mind what the Glazers are just shelling out for Sancho and the other lad, I forget his name now.
Yeah, Varane.
But they chased them. That was on the other side of the fucking world. Yet there's a Newcastle protest happening 5 minutes up the fucking road, and you're telling me that the people who monitor the social media, right? They're saying that they weren't aware of any.
No, they were too busy. The golf was on, Paul. The golf was on.
They were doing something on Neymar's fucking hair. I'm no hair expert, as you might be able to fucking tell for those of you watching our YouTube channel and not listening to the audio podcast. But fuck me, the 5 minutes up the road, they're at Premier League headquarters, they're at Parliament Square, they're at Downing Street, they're easy to find. There was lots of communication that went out. It's just bullshit, and Sky Sports are just as bad as the Premier League and just as bad as everybody else. Now, I'm not saying that you keep Daniels of this world as the Antichrist, because I think he does a fantastic job and he's very much a passionate Newcastle United supporter, etc., for all the other North East reporters and stuff. But Sky Sports coming out with that as an excuse. Well, he was doing that and he was doing that. And we weren't really aware of it. It's just more examples of the levels. I mean, Sky Sports don't want to upset the Premier League because Sky Sports without the Premier League is up shit creek without a paddle. So they all got the hand in the same bag. They all stink of the same amount of pig shit in my book. And it's just disgusting. But yet again, it is the Newcastle United supporters, the faithful. And when I say faithful, I mean fucking faithful. Unlike when they say, oh, the Chelsea faithful. Are you taking the piss? No. You know, we are the most loyalist bunch of fans. But there comes a point, mate, where it's exhausting. Sure. You feel almost suffocated by the situation and the lack of action. So for all those people who are saying, forget about the takeover, you simply can't, because there's nothing else at our football club that's really worth looking into at the moment. It's about as exciting as looking at the accounts from Iceland or Asda or something like that. It's literally that level. We go there, mate. We went to the Sheffield United game and we were chatting more about the stadium, noticing what was up with the stadium, it needed a lick of paint, chatting and having a catch-up, than we were in the football. Mate, we played 5 at the back against fucking York. The club is in a mess. We've got Steve Bruce as the manager, 5 at the back, no signings. We've got ASM potentially unhappy that the club's doing nothing to be able to move forward and stuff at the moment. We've got Dubravka's out again for the second season in a row. He's not going to start the season. We've got Miggy, who's injured on the other side of the world. We've got Callum Wilson, thankfully, he's okay. But by the looks of rumours today, we're going to be signing no strikers as backup. Mutu is going to be Andy Carroll's replacement. And we are going to go with what we've got. Dwight Gale and all of that. That is what we're going to go for up front. The club is in a mess. That we don't know what's going on with the long staff still. Will they stay? Will they go? I could give you a literally huge list of issues and problems at the football club, and then you've got people telling you, don't look at the takeover, look at the football. There is no football. We don't play football. We just get a lucky penalty against Spurs to fluke a point or this, that and the other. The only hope I've got for the club at all is Graham Jones and trying to keep an Alan St. Maximum out of the reach of Rafa Benitez. Because I think that'd be enough to push most people over the fucking edge if we lose ASM to the Merseyside Mackhams with Rafa Benitez in charge, who should and could be Newcastle manager if it wasn't piss farting around that we're going through at the moment.
Exactly. It's the biggest kick in the dick you can probably get. We've got to wait another 6 months now. It's like it's very testing as a fan, and I think the next couple of months in particular are going to be testing. A lot of negative podcasts, let's be honest. A lot of difficult times to support this team, but we'll be here. We'll support them. We'll try. We'll stick with you, and hopefully you stick with us as well. But speaking of signings, Paul, we've only been really linked with one. Obviously, you mentioned Christopher Asia before. Obviously, Brentford pushed the boat out further. Brentford pushed the boat out more. Yeah, it's shit, I know, but like the one bit of smoke that seems to have a little bit of fire to it is Joe Willock potentially coming back. How he's coming back, I don't know if it's permanent or if it's on loan, but more than likely it's going to be on loan.
Mate, I'd take him anywhere. I would literally sell our soul to the devil at this point to get Joe Willock back in a Newcastle shirt, and I'm thankful that he's not on a flight to America because that Arsenal's trip's been cancelled at the last minute because of COVID issues. So Joe Willock is definitely not going to America. That gives us maybe a little bit more chance to get him in a little bit sooner. But knowing Mike Ashley, the price will be, I don't know, 15, 20 million, and either offer him 1 or 2. You know, he hasn't learned from the Kevin Keegan case and the Kevin Keegan days and the mistakes he's made there, mate. I just pray that whether it's loan, I don't care. I just want to see
just
that.
Just a little bit of positivity, because I suppose I can find one positive in that Callum Wilson got given the number 9 shirt. That looks terrible on my camera. I need to go that way, didn't I don't know. It's reversed, so I've tried to do a 9 symbol and it hasn't worked. But Callum Wilson's going to be the number 9 next season. Actually, all I need to do is move out the way. There we're gone.
Yeah, you go.
9. There we're gone. But Callum Wilson's going to be the number 9 next season, which I think is well deserved. We'll finally go on number 9 that we can actually enjoy as a centre forward instead of, is Jolton going to play well this week? Can Joe do it? Less pressure on Joe. Give it to the main man. So yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have a little bit of good news. But I mean, the kit launch was last week as well, Paul, and there's a massive flipping 4 on it. I don't have a 4 behind just to like signal this, but like a 4. There's a massive 4 on it. They've waited a year, and there's a 4 on it.
Who at Castor looked at those designs and went, "Fucking brilliant." Yeah, that's the one. Who didn't see the massive number 4 on the front? And once you've seen it, you can't get it out your head. Yes, looking back at the number 9, that was the most common sense decision. It should have been done when Callum Wilson signed. It didn't. And I think, again, that's what you call a little bit of public relations. That is a little bit of Keith Bishop at work. You know, try and give them a little bit of good news because we've got nothing else to be able to give to them at the moment. And it coincides with season ticket renewals, the same time that the Joe Willock rumours and stuff come out. The shirts themselves, mate, with a few tweaks, if they coloured them in black or done something else with them, it could have been a lot better. I like the red numbering that they've kept. And it was frustrating how long we had to wait for it. But can't get away from that number 4. I kept thinking Johan Cabai, David Batty, all the great number 4s, Nobby Solano, Kevin Nolans of the world just kept cropping up in the head. And I think there was a women's match, and all the women were like literally lined up in 2 rows before the game had kicked off, and all you could see is the 4s. I was just like, oh my word, that is bad.
I mean, all it takes as well is a little bit of a change. They just need to like make the collar bit all black, and it'll be fine. But I mean,
how did you miss it? How did you miss it?
It's probably the biggest blunder I've seen since the banana top we had in 2010. I mean, that was a bit of a shit top as well. But this is it's just so depressing. I hope the away tops are decent so I can at least get one of them. But
well, yeah. I've got a top coming actually, not because
is it the 4-1?
Yeah, it is the 4-1.
Oh God, Paul.
And I don't know what to be honest, it may just well go up on the wall. It may be one of the ones I don't wear, but it just goes up on the wall and stuff like that. I was looking at some of the training gear. I thought some of the training gear, the blue one, looked okay. Quite like that. But I'm like you. I'm praying for a decent away kit. I've seen some of the designs that have been leaked out there and stuff like that. I can't say I'm in love with the ones that have been leaked out, but I'm waiting for the official confirmation coming out before deciding what's what, because I like to get the shirts and stuff like that, and I've held off on previous seasons because of the old Ashley stuff and everything else like that. And although I'm continuing my boycott with Ashley's businesses and stuff like that, this year I was like, I'm gonna get the top. I need a new Newcastle top and stuff, but I just can't get away from that form. It doesn't even matter whether it's kits, whether it's transfers, whether it's takeovers, whether it's about the coaches or anything. Every bit of our club, there's always got to be something wrong with it. You just pray that for once you could
everything's wrong with it.
Yeah, just get something right.
Anything,
just anything, anything right. When they started to take the mural, where the cash point is, near the Bobby Robson, I was like, please don't say that you're taking that down to leave it that mucky brick colour again. And I was even having a whinge and stuff like that to myself. As it turns out, they are actually replacing that. I don't know if it's been done already or not, but oh goodness me, mate, the club is in a mess. If they can't even if you can't get black and white stripes right, if you can't see the number 4, it just beggars fucking belief. It really, really does.
Gotta be that bad you bought it.
I did. I was just like, the away top. I was like, where is the away top? Where's the away top? I was like, I'm gonna have to do something. I'm gonna have to get one. I thought I haven't. I've held off on previous seasons. And I'm like, I need a new Newcastle top.
You should have told me one of your away ones or one of my home ones. Goggy flipping like all the old ones, like the brown ale ones. I would have get one of them, but instead of the big 4.
Yeah, but, so yeah, you can walk up to us and you can just say 4 and stuff like that when you see us at the ground. Because we are back at the games. Obviously, we've had our first pre-season game. That was an absolute shit show. Wasn't 4 on that occasion. It was just the 1. But to lose again,
4 corners.
God,
40% possession.
5 at the back, mate. 5 at the fucking back against York with all the midfielders. It's just like, if I could pick Steve Bruce up to shake him, I'd shake the cunt. I really would. I know there's people talking about protests and pitch invasions and all sorts, mate. For these games coming up, I'm at the game at Doncaster coming up, and then again for Rotherham and stuff. I'm a glutton for punishment, mate. I'm a glutton for punishment. I shall sit there.
Top. You're going to Doncaster. You're going to flipping Rotherham. Luckily for me, I'm staying up north morning and stuff. So but I was that interested in the York game. To be fair, I did try and watch it, but the signal on Timeout Beach was flipping shit. So I couldn't get anywhere near it. But luckily by half time, and that I went to go and get some food, and the signal improved. But I say luckily, but the second half was shit. I didn't do anything. I put my phone down for a couple of seconds, and then I hear cheer, and I'm thinking, all right, we've scored. Oh, York have scored. So I see the goal back. It's a good header, but yeah, it's flipping bleak at the minute, man. We can't even be flipping York. Like
that says me. I mean, I thought we
would win. I thought, well, they're a conference team. Surely they're not even a conference team. They're the Conference North. Like, come on, you know what I mean? And like, I know it's only the first game of pre-season and that, but surely your first team should be able to beat York.
When you see an ASM come onto the pitch, mate, and he was on the substitute bench to start off with, when you're seeing a pretty strong team to start off with, I know there's a situation about goalkeepers, but to be fair, I thought Langley, who came in, did did all right. He did all right for his debut and stuff like that. Looks a big lad. Looks a confident lad. But when you are looking at stuff and you bring in Muto on and you're like, come on, Muto, you need to prove a point. You need to show something. And again, we just do nothing, and we play this boring brand of Bruce Ball, 5 at the back, holding midfielders, and you haven't got Joe Willock to be able to open up a team. ASM was nowhere near fit.
No.
And you're looking left, right, and centre, and then you even Steve Bruce coming out with, well, we've had a tough week. And you're like, are you for real? And that's where I would have, if I was interviewing, I would pick him up and shake the bastard, because it's like, are you kidding me? Have a week in the real world with real problems and real challenges and trying to make ends meet and this, that, and the other. And then you tell me about a tough week. No, you've been to a better training ground than what you've got at home. You've trained all week. You know what I mean? You've got the best science, you've got the best nutrition, you've got all of that good stuff. You're getting paid tens of thousands of pounds per week. Mate, they've not had a tough week at all. They've not had a tough week. And I'm sure Mrs. Bruce has sent them an apple crumble down and all that sort of thing. They've not had a tough week. That's just another excuse. And it's something that Steve Bruce is particularly good at, finding the excuses to paper over the cracks and doing the bare minimum. But it certainly didn't do the bare minimum against York. And it was disgraceful. It really, really was. And then we find out that we're going to be losing arguably what many people think is our best defender in Florian Lejeune. He's going.
Yeah, he is. It was a bit of a shock to me, to be honest. I thought that they'd bring him back in from his injury last season, and that they'd give him a season out and get up to fitness and get up to speed, and then he'd be playing in the first team. But they've got rid of him, and they're not going to replace him. It's so bizarre, mate. Like Florian Lejeune didn't really get a chance to say bye to anybody either. He kind of came back from loan and then went away again. And it's like, that lad was so gifted with the ball at his feet. He was so gifted in defence. And I think under Rafa, he was actually unbelievable. I remember when we played Lascelles, Lejeune and Cher in a back three.
Yeah.
And it was unbelievable. At the three, they just completed each other's game completely.
Yeah, they did. They complimented them so well, didn't they? Those
I'm good he's going, but I'll never forget them 2 goals at Everton. You know, for the
we were there, weren't we?
Jammiest draw I'll ever see in my life. Florian Lejeune gave with that cute little pick arms.
You only got little wee arms.
Standing 2 yards in the goal line.
The Euros are done, mate. The Euros are done. We can take the piss out of Jordan Pickford again. That is.
Anyway. I kind of praise him. Even when he was saving penalties, I'm like, you're still flipping shit.
My missus, Kerry was kicking off because she kept saying, 2 seconds ago you were calling him a Mac and bin dipper, and all of a sudden you jumped up and down because he saved a penalty. I was like, yeah. I said, I'm like really, really stressed because I hate him. I said, I hate his attitude towards Newcastle supporters. I hate everything about him, his mannerisms, how he goes, everything else like that. I says, but obviously I want him to save the penalties because I want England to do well. But I was proper like through yeah, get in, you Mac and bloody, and all this.
For me, it was like, get in, you Mac and bastard. Yeah. Get in.
And John Henderson's coming on about, oh, come on, you Mac and bastard. So it's got to be the hostility and see, we don't even have that, mate. We used to be able to have the banter and at least look forward to the derby matches. Don't even have that, mate, because they're bottle jobbing it again down in Division 3, and they can take a laugh and take the piss all they want about our plight. We are in a very shitty predicament, but we're certainly nowhere near the predicament that Sunderland find themselves in, and we don't want to get into the predicament that Sunderland find themselves in.
Well, mate, the saying goes, if you keep playing with fire, you eventually get burned. So it's just a case of how long can this go on for before it ends up bad? Because for me, I just feel like it'll get to January or February and they're going to delay it again. It means, I suppose it means one thing, we can get on with it until Christmas. We don't have to worry about it until.
Well, there's no excuses, mate, is there? There's no excuses. So Mike Ashley can say previously, I don't want to spend because why would I spend on something that I'm potentially going to be losing any day? And you heard all these quotes about telling the safety, be prepared, get your money ready to go, right? You've not got that excuse. It is now down to you, Mike Ashley, and Lee Charnley, and Keith Bishop, and everybody else at the football club to get that squad into a shape where we can have a better season, where we're not looking over our shoulders all the time. So there's no excuse, because if Brentford can afford to do it, and they've had no commercial, they've had no commercial revenue like we've had. Everything else, all the other teams, if Manchester United, if they can afford to go and break records and sign your Sanchos of the world, and everybody else is doing stuff, mate, there's no excuse now. Mike Ashley cannot hide behind the excuse of this takeover any longer. He has agreed with his legal team. So it's not just the Premier League, it is Mike Ashley as well. He has agreed to delay up until January in the hope that this other case produces a few nice, shots and he wins that. That's going to help him with the arbitration case. He's agreed to push arbitration back. So now stop making the excuses, Newcastle United, Steve Bruce and everybody else. Get that squad sorted. Get Joe Willock in. Sign a couple of players to give Newcastle United the best chance possible of staying up and pushing up the table and doing something in the cups. The fans fucking deserve it. And I do not want to hear any excuses whatsoever with regards with regards to that. Mike Ashley can no longer hide behind that one.
Yeah, you're right, mate. And I think that I haven't become a proper quotist or someone that philosophizes about things, but the saying goes, if you stop in football, you go backwards, and we've stopped. So it's concerning. If we don't sign Joe Willock, we haven't kept the likes of Lejeune, Carroll, we haven't kept these players, so we're weaker than we were last season. And yeah, we finished 12th, but that really flatters that we finished 12th.
We could have finished 17th, mate, on that day.
We've been 17th or 18th if Fulham were any better. So for me, it's like they've got to get the shit sorted, even if they do the bare minimum and bring in a spare striker, because Mutu and Gale aren't the backup strikers. I'm sorry, but they cannot be. Wilson inevitably will get injured at some point in the season. That Willock, a right back or a full back and a centre back, to just get through.
Talking about Callum Watts, aren't they, mate? They're talking about giving Callum Watts a shot in the first team. He's got pre-season to be able to show what he can do, and full well Callum Watts will be that extra defender. That is who they will have as an extra option who's out on.
I don't see it, mate, because they said the same shit about Dan Barlaser last season. And remember, we were talking about him. It could be season to shine and all this. And then they sold him down the river, mate, to Rotherham. So, he'll be playing against us in a couple of days. And it's like...
You just know what's going to happen there, don't you?
I flipping rocket. And you'll be there to see it in person, Paul.
Yeah, I'll feel it personally.
Yeah.
I've even had, mate, today... I've even had sympathy from a Rotherham supporter. So you know that things are difficult for your club when you're getting sympathy of Rotherham supporters. So I would love to think that we're going to go there, play a little bit of, entertaining football, let the team entertain the away fans. But I doubt it. There's going to be 3,300 Newcastle supporters against Doncaster alone, another couple of thousand against Rotherham. It's just disgusting the way that Newcastle fans are treated when we're travelling in such numbers and passionately and want to see our team do well. We're not glory supporters at all, but a little bit of nothing to shout about, mate, for so long. It's a shower of shit, basically.
It is, and it's just a very bleak. I mean, I want to because we've been away for a bit with the podcast. I want to like be back with a bang type thing. Yes, there's this news, there's that news, but there's like it's just dead, mate, and like
Just nothing.
there's nothing.
It's
It's
a shit.
like
It's just
Callum Wilson's in number 9. We've got a big bastard former kit, and we got beat off York, and the arbitration's going another 6 months. There's nothing going good. Nothing at all.
If Carlsberg did shit shows, then it would be this. Mate, it is. We always try and find a positive. The only positive, like I touched on before, mate, is we are into the final 12 months of the Steve Bruce contract, and surely to God, not even Mrs. Bruce, not even Mama Bruce would give Steve Bruce another contract at Newcastle United. He cannot get another contract at Newcastle United. It makes less sense than all the other shit that's been going off. So let's fingers crossed. We're into the final 12 months of the Steve Bruce regime.
I don't think I can cope with another 12 months of him, mate.
Oh, God. We've got, the thing is, it's like we've got season tickets and stuff to sort this week and stuff like that. And you just know, like, traveling up and down the country, following the lads everywhere, and it's all that support the team.
Oh, come on. You're reminding us again. Like, I'm starting to feel pain now. Like, we're going to have to go up and down the country to follow this shit, man. How are you?
Yeah, so we'll be travelling to Burnley away and hoping that the ball goes in off Joe Linton's arse in the 94th minute to rescue a draw. It's going to be another crazy season of ridiculous shenanigans and stuff like that, where we like it's not the football, you know. It is.
This face is looking forward to it. This face is not looking forward to it. Like, oh no, man. Like, I'm happy we can go traveling again, but that's about it. Like, it's flipping shit, man. Like, oh,
it is. It's just
like, I'm happy Callum Wilson's number 9, and that's it. Like, there's nothing else.
Graham Jones, mate. Graham Jones. That's
oh, there we go.
The
Euro finalist himself, the master stroke, the man that Gareth Southgate wants to be. But if Graham Jones kind of pull off a master stroke, then you know what I mean. We're flipping up shit creek for a paddle, mate.
I'll tell you something. That man, he's got the magic touch. It made Gareth Southgate look good, yeah. And it also made Steve Bruce look good. So, you know what I mean? Well, maybe not good, but half decent.
Manager of the month. Manager of the month.
I was sitting there imagining him holding that doner kebab and stuff like that. But, yeah, it's going to take, mate, some shenanigans just to be able to stay up. The football is going to be awful. We're going to get dumped out of the cup to lower league opposition in the early rounds again, because that's just the normal. And we've got to listen to Steve Bruce talking about, the big clubs. Can we get a loan player off a big club? And we can't compete against these big clubs and all that. Bollocks, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But to summarise the podcast, mate, I did want to end on a positive of some sort, because the couple of hundred that went down to London to protest, fair play to every one of us. I think the one that was leading like the kind of the interviews was where Sky was concerned was Holly Blades. I think she goes on Steve Rafe's podcast and that a lot. And
yeah, Holly does.
She is like a part of the Newcastle community on Twitter, and not just her, but along with everybody that went down with her to London and represented Newcastle's fan base were nothing but absolute pride.
They were fantastic.
Everyone for taking a stand and making your voice heard, and not going down there quietly, making your voices heard and really making a stamp, going outside the Premier League, going outside of Parliament, going outside of number 10. Proud of each and every single one of you. You've done the fan base for them proud on that day, and I'll never forget it either. It's class stuff from
Holly spoke fantastic, mate. She really did. Yeah. I mean, I wanted to be down there, but it was, as you know, stepson's army selection event and stuff. So that sort of obviously had to take priority over the day, or I'd have been down there protesting as well. The support to be able to send down a couple of hundred people on the coaches and stuff down there, London Mags as well, getting in on board on the situation and stuff like that. Holly spoke brilliantly well. she tried to deliver the letter to the Premier League. The Premier League refused. This is what I mean. You're all about the fans. Football without the fans is nothing, and that's been as clear as mud. Yet a fan comes to the front office of the Premier League, 16-year-old, speaks fantastically well, tries to deliver a letter for the Premier League and for Dick Master, and they just refuse that. And I think that speaks volumes. But what speaks more volumes is the passion, the noise, the colour, and the commitment of everybody who travelled down there. Like you said, but that is definitely a massive positive to end the podcast on. More of that spirit over this season. Whatever's coming up, because there's going to be more protests, you know that. There's going to be more things kicking off and getting arranged, you know, in the ethos and stuff like that. So there's going to be more things, no doubt, planned. So we need to keep the message up and let as many people know how disgruntled we are, and let as many organisations know how disgruntled as supporters we are, and let people know the shenanigans, mate, that's going on, because it is bang out of order, and it is corrupt as corrupt can be.
Well, if there is any protests, mate, if there is anything like that where it does need support, I'm sure we'll be more than happy to help.
We don't sit on the fence, do we?
Try and use our platform to try and raise as much awareness as possible. I mean, we're not one of the big wigs. We're not like an NUFC 360 or anything like that. But if we can help even a little towards getting it to as many people as possible, we will do, no problem. Because at the end of the day, we're just fans. We're not internet celebrities or anything like that. Just two average Joes on a podcast, and we'll help any and all fans as much as much as we can. So it was just a nice positive way to end the podcast, because I knew there'd be a couple of negative things being said with what's been going on. I didn't speak about Simon Jordan either, Paul. I'll keep it short and sweet, but he is a horrible bastard. We went on with Staveley. The way he spoke to Staveley was completely unacceptable, and I mean, I said me bit in one of the previews or one of the reviews after the England game about him, but he's a colossal cunt. Like, the way he goes on, I just
piss flap, mate. He's absolute piss flap, and despite what he said in his protestations today, I don't do stuff for clickbait. I don't do the bullshit. Absolute pure bullshit.
Bullshit, man.
Like I say, he's a failure, mate. He failed in the newspapers. He failed at Crystal Palace. He's got massive agendas. He's on a show with Jim White, and we all know what Jim White is. Just a bit of an annoying bell end. So they're probably two get on like a house on fire. But yeah, total clickbait, total crap, makes no sense whatsoever, and it just plays out to his agenda. And again, he's part of the problem, mate. And I was glad that people have been highlighting this. And it's not just Newcastle fans, Manchester United fans and all sorts. People putting comments on saying that you're just basically a bit of a bell end, aren't you?
Yeah, just total colossal cunt. That's what he is.
Yep.
But I did want to end on saying the protests that went down to London, absolutely fantastic. Fair play to each and every one of yous. And like I say, is anything that we can retweet, just get in contact if there's anything. On my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything in between. But it's been good to be back, Paul. We'll be back more regularly. We'll not wait like 2, 3, 4 weeks until the next one, because obviously the games are coming thick and fast now. The Newcastle news is starting to come in thick and fast. So not just on our podcast anymore. So obviously, if you're on YouTube, you can see faces and stuff like that now. But yeah, there's still plenty more to come. We're going to do like a Q&A next week, because it's actually a year anniversary for Magpie 24/7. A week from tomorrow is the first year of Magpie 24/7. So we're going to do we're going to do a Q&A podcast for that. But in the midst of that, we'll be talking about the friendlies and signings if they happen.
Oh yes, all those signings.
There's some content coming up, and obviously on YouTube. We'll probably explain in the Q&A video how we're going to do YouTube, how we're going to differentiate between that and the podcast, just to kind of level with you what I expect for the new season, because obviously it's our first season on YouTube as well. So but that's next week. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. A bit of negative vibes.
Subscribe.
But yeah, if you want to subscribe, leave a like or follow on Spotify or whatever it may be, or Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on there every day, talking about news or whatever's going on. But it's been a good. It's been a kind of a kind of event thing. It's been kind of a virtual therapy session for me. Might be right, Kyle. You're starting to drag it out. Piss off. But right, I will piss off. But right, well, Louis and leave yous, and we'll catch you on the next Magpie 24/7 podcast, everyone, and see you later.
Let's go, Grant.